As I was recording the previous session, I thought of another important piece of play that I want to bring by as a nice place to start when you want to play, but you don't know exactly how to play and become playful with your child. And one of those ways is thinking about nonverbal communication. And the fact that nonverbal communication speaks to the emotional right brain so much more than the left brain, where we have a little bit more connection to words. So we have two hemispheres. And so the left hemisphere is very much involved in systems and logical thinking, reasoning, the words, lexicon, using my sentences in an elegant way to express what it is that I need to say. Where my right brain is a bit more creative, more emotional, more looking at the hidden innuendo behind the words, very involved in comprehension, very involved in connection. And especially in today, where we want to use play to increase the connection and the attunement between a parent and a child, an educator and a child, a therapist and a child, maybe even two adults with each other. We want to look at how can we get that connection. Connection does not really lie in the left brain with words. When you look at the research is saying that all of our communication, all of it, 55% is nonverbal, 38% is going to be my tone of voice, and 7% is words. When we look at that, we understand that Jacoboni's research, when he was looking at the whole world of empathy, why it's not what we say as parents, it's what we do as parents. They are imitating what we are showing them. They are responding on our facial gesture, on our tone of voice, much more than they are responding to what we're actually saying. And when you say, out of frustration, "You're not hearing me," you are probably correct. Because what they are listening to is how you are saying it, and probably not completely taking in the exact reasoning of what you're saying. And that doesn't go for parents only, it goes for all adults that's working with kids and children. So when you think about communication being so largely dependent upon the right brain, and the connection, the attunement between one person and another is what Siegel talks about when he says it's right brain to right brain, right? This is what you want to think about. Then you think twice about, okay, if I'm having a trouble connecting with my child and I don't really feel like I can play as much as probably people would want me to, then where does that leave me? How does that take me? Before I go there, I want to first just focus on this whole idea of empathy that also comes with attunement, or at least the modeling of a parent wanting to coo and attune with their baby, with their child. To understand that Jacoboni's research is saying that empathy is built from the get-go after birth. It probably already has its roots in utero, as the baby is able to listen and hear the mommy's tone of voice through vibrations down the spinal column, through bone conduction. So when the baby is born, that's where the research starts, is at birth. The baby is absolutely beholden upon how they are received in the world. It is nature that's coming with the genetic composition, but it's through nurture. It's the way that the baby is received in the world that allows them to start feeling of themselves as an entity that may be separate from the womb space that they've come from, that may be separate from the anchoring of the parent, a different individual, becoming my own sense of self. And that circuit of empathy is set up in the very, very early part, in the first 9 months of our lives. And then we keep building on it as we mature, thankfully so. So the motherese of the parent mentalizing on the child, when the parent is saying, "Oh, you're so sad. Oh, you're so sad right now. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." right? When the baby is looking at the parent, and again, you have that full frontal, right? When they're saying the research is for the mirror neurons in the brainstem that imitates the parent to build this circuit is actually much more available when you're doing face-to-face, 4 times more available than when you're sitting side by side, right? So this is why when we work with mothers who are bottle feeding their babies, we ask them to maintain the same position as if it is nursing on the breast. That same hold, not the bottle over here and I'm talking to somebody over here, because it's an important place where this bonding is occurring at a very rapid rate. And so what they also found with research is that babies who are mentalized from a very young age showed far better executive functioning skills at the age of 4 than other babies. And so it's definitely places we want to take seriously. And so this sense of self piece is really where we want the child to grow into a persona that feels in control, a persona that can use self-regulation as a tool, and that can build from the imitation that they receive. How do we do that? How do we do that? And perhaps we are parents who don't play. Perhaps we're educators who don't play. It's all about teaching, and how much of teaching is nonverbal and how much is verbal. We can talk about that. We can think about that. So the easiest thing to do, easiest thing, and it will depend on the diagnosis, how many times you want to do it, but find time in the week, maybe 3 times a week, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, that you're playing with a child for 15 to 20 minutes, right? Not a long time. The child can choose anything they want to play, whether they play castles or Legos or basketball, who cares what they play? And it's different with mommies and daddies too, right? And in different constellations of different families these days. So whoever takes the role on whatever their preferred activity is, go for it. But one rule, the adult is not allowed to talk. I know what you're thinking right now. We are spending far more attention on needing to speak, and we're forgetting that communication is far more nonverbal. And if we want to connect to the right brain, nonverbal is the place to go. Think about that little look you give to a significant other. Think about the signs that comes from, oh, it looks like he is interested in me, right? Think about all those. Does that come from words first? No, it comes from gesture. And think about when you are talking to somebody and their whole facial demeanor and their gesture is not congruent with what they're actually saying, and you're feeling a certain discomfort and awkwardness in that. Well, this is what I'm talking about. You can connect with your child in a very simplistic way. Allow them to play. You're just following along, but you're not allowed to speak. You can use maybe oops or ooh la la or sign language, whatever you come up with. Have fun with it. You will see how your child needs to look at you, because he can't just look away and listen to you. He needs to look at you. And that connection, right brain to right brain, comes almost immediate. And families who follow through on this, when we recommend this for them, those who do it, because some are a little bit naughty and they don't, they will always come back and say to us, I never knew my child, blah, 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 right? And it's a beautiful moment of discovery. And there's so many families who keep going with it because it's so much, they find the place where they thought, if I can do more for my child, if I can take them to one more therapist, if I can take them to one more assessment, if I can give them one more tutoring lesson so that they can get the math and the reading that they need to. And it finds there's a different space here where I can really find a moment where I can connect with my child. It's such a simple thing to do. If it's once a week, it's once a week. Try it. I think you're going to love it.